Now, American Country Countdown, brought to you in part by AT&T, the right choice. By Chevy Truck, the heartbeat of America, today's Chevy Truck. And by Sears, for new brakes, shocks, or struts, somebody does it better. Sears. Hello and welcome to American Country Countdown. I'm Bob Kingsley, and this is the original country music countdown based on the official rankings from Billboard Magazine. These are the 40 biggest country records of the week by the biggest stars in the world of country music. We'll have stories behind the singers and their songs, plus we'll check the ACC archive and hear some of the great #1 songs from the summer of 1983. All on our way to revealing who has the #1 song in the nation this week. And we kick things off right now with an encore of the one most popular song in the USA from last week's countdown. Here is Keith Whitley.
I'm no stranger to the rain.
Keith Whitley, and I'm no stranger to the rain, the #1 country song in the nation for last week. This is American Country Countdown. I'm Bob Kingsley. Now, let's begin our climb toward this week's #1 tune.
Number 40.
Tanya Tucker debuts with a third single from her current album called Strong Enough to Bend. Here's Tanya in her new one entitled Call on Me. Leading off this week's countdown, Tanya Tucker debuting at number 40 with Call on Me. Back in the early 1960s, our next singer cut several songs for a small record label. And although it didn't start a blazing career for him, it did strike a match. I'm talking about Gene Watson, who was still in his teens when he and his brothers and cousins formed a group called Gene Watson and the Other Four. They were living in Houston at the time, and they even made a couple of records for a small local record label called Tonka Records. Well, the two singles barely got played in Houston, much less anywhere else, and when nothing happened for the group, the so-called Other Four went the other way. But what those seldom-heard singles did accomplish was to bring Gene's voice to the attention of a couple of people who were in a position to do him some good. One was a local record store owner named Roy Stone. The other was a record distributor named Russ Reeder. Now, they believed in him enough to form a new record label just to record and release Gene Watson product. And that kept him in the record business long enough to land a contract with a major label in 1975. And the matchlight given Gene by a couple of small Texas record labels finally became a blaze that resulted in a series of 41 chart singles. The latest by Gene Watson is appropriately called Back in the Fire, and it debuts this week at number 39.
My mind knows full well.
There is Gene Watson debuting at number 39 with Back in the Fire. Coming up, a singer who became a footnote in the history of last year's presidential campaign as we head toward the song voted this week's #1.
My kind of country. My kind of music.
You're stranded. They towed your car away, and it wasn't because of parking violations. Volkswagen's financing assistance plan can help. The family is growing, the budget is shrinking, and your car is stuck in park. Volkswagen's financing assistance plan can help. You say you can't afford a new car. We say you can. For a limited time, when you finance a new Volkswagen, our financing assistance plan can help you save. You asked Santa for a new car. He stiffed you for the 5th year, and your birthday is 8 months away. Thank goodness your local Volkswagen dealer can help.
Mom, all you've got is 2 potatoes in your basket. What happened to the world's fastest shopper?
I can't find anything for my hay fever.
There are so many products here. Look, this stops sneezing.
That makes me sleepy.
And this?
Doesn't stop my sneezing.
There must be something that stops sneezing without making you sleepy.
I'm so confused.
End the confusion. As a nurse, I know that now your doctor can give you fast relief from all your hay fever symptoms without the drowsiness you may have had before. See your doctor.
Merrill Dow Pharmaceuticals.
American Country Countdown.
From the bottom to the top, we are counting down the 40 biggest country hits of the week. I'm Bob Kingsley, and at number 38, here's the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band. Their former top 10 down to number 38 for the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band, and down that road tonight. Up now is a singer who became a part of last year's presidential campaign and didn't even know it. Last year, George Bush hit the campaign trail on a tour bus, and he brought along a cassette of a song that he had heard on radio station WMZQ in Washington, D.C. He began playing the song in the bus as a sort of theme for the campaign. Now, the singer of the song was not aware that he had joined the campaign until the Bush people called and invited him to spend a few days with them on the bus. Well, the singer is Bandy, and the song that caught the vice president's attention was Mo's hit from a year ago called Americana. Now, naturally, Mo was thrilled to become a footnote in political history, but he is still most interested in adding more credits to his page in country music history. And his 38 chart single is this week's number 37 song. Here's Bandy as he debuts with Many Mansions.
Hope is a thing with feathers.
Bandy debuting at number 37 with a tune called Many Mansions, as we count down the 40 biggest country hits of the week.
My kind of country, my kind of music.
Hi, Tom Bodette for Motel 6 with some relief for the commercial traveler. Well, springtime is a tough time to be working. The roads are full of college kids on spring break, decked out in beach get-ups, and station wagons with bumper stickers that read, "I brake for azaleas." Well, Motel 6 can help. For around $24, we'll give you a clean, comfortable room to escape and relax in, and a telephone for doing whatever business you have to do. Local calls are free, and there's no motel service charge on the long-distance ones. Just call 505-891-6161 for reservations. We got over 500 locations coast to coast where you'll always get the lowest prices of any national chain. Then if all that spring break stuff starts to get to you, we'll take the money you save and do something nice for yourself. Maybe go to one of those fancy restaurants and order something that they set on fire at your table. Well, I'm Tom Bodette for Motel 6. Hang in there now, and we'll leave the light on for you.
American Country Countdown.
I'm Bob Kingsley, and these are the biggest country hits of the week, and we are counting them down to that number one tune. At number 36, with her former number one, here is Reba McEntire.
You sure know what you do.
That is Reba McEntire from number one 3 weeks ago down to number 36 this week with New Fool at an Old Game. This is American Country Countdown, and survey song number 35 from number 40 last week is called If I Ever Go Crazy. And here to sing it are the Shooters.
I'm solid as a rock.
Those are the Shooters, up to number 35 for the week with If I Ever Go Crazy. We've got the week's 34 top-ranked country hits still to come when American Country Countdown continues.
My kind of country, my kind of music.
Hey, Willard Scott here at the supermarket where it's a mob scene. Thanks to Cheeseburger Days. Seems all these folks want the same thing.
We want lean ground beef and real cheese. Lean ground beef and real cheese.
So they can fix cheeseburgers at home. Hey, here comes Daryl, the stock boy. Ever seen anything like this? No. If you like cheeseburgers as much as these folks, hurry to your participating store during Cheeseburger Days.
Move aside, it's another forklift to Swiss.
Sponsored by America's Dairy Farmers, American Dairy Association.
That's my kid, you got me.
It's not just a car, it's your freedom.
Car ready to go?
Yeah, had it all checked out.
Gas station.
No, GM dealership. I figured those Good Wrench guys know what they're doing.
Good. So, any idea where you're going?
Not exactly, but I'll let you know when I get there.
I'll be waiting.
Mr. Goodrich knows it's not just a car, it's your freedom. American Country Countdown.
American Country Countdown is heard each week at this time on great radio stations from coast to coast and around the world. In Little Falls, New York, we are on new brand of country, WLFH. In Jonesboro, Arkansas, it is Super Country 108 KFIN. In Pikeville, Kentucky, it is Pikeville's Best Country, FM 92 WDHR. And in Lincoln, Nebraska, the station is Lincoln's Country 96 Kicks, KZKX. Now, with survey song number 34 here on the Bellamy's.
Where does this feeling come from? Love.
Down to number 34 for the Bellamy Brothers and Big Love. That was written by Dave Bellamy, and I call your attention to that simply because his songwriting ability has been a very important part to the Bellamy Brothers' success story. Now, Dave's first experience as a songwriter came in the early 70s. The guys were living and working near Tampa, Florida, and Dave was able to make a few extra bucks by writing jingles for a local grocery store and a construction firm. His first score in the music business came in 1974 when he co-wrote a tune with Jim Stafford called Spiders and Snakes that became a million seller for Stafford. Ironically, in 1976, the Bellamys kicked off their own recording career with a hit they didn't write called Let Your Love Flow. But after that, Dave began writing songs specifically for Howard and himself to record, tunes like Sugar Daddy, If I Said You Have a Beautiful Body, and our number one song from 4 years ago this week called I Need More of You.
Hearts, more of you.
From 1985, those are the Bellamy Brothers and I Need More of You. 33 hits to number one, including the latest from a man who says his parents' divorce was the reason he had both a pop and country music career.
When I bite into a York peppermint patty, I get the sensation. And when I take another bite, York peppermint patty, dark chocolate, cool mint. Get the sensation.
We're spending our honeymoon in a store.
We gotta find something for your hay fever, sweetheart. Here, this stops sneezing.
But that'll make me sleepy.
Oh, we don't want you sleepy. What about this?
That won't stop my sneezing.
It's so confusing.
End the confusion. As a nurse, I know that now your doctor can give you fast relief from all your hay fever symptoms without the drowsiness you may have had before. See your doctor.
Merrill Dow Pharmaceuticals.
American Country Countdown.
We are counting our way through the 40 biggest country hits of the week based on the rankings of Billboard Magazine. I'm Bob Kingsley, and at number 33, here are the Lonesome Strangers.
Well, I've been here for a long, long time.
The Lonesome Strangers, up 4 for the week to number 33 with Goodbye Lonesome, Hello Baby Doll. You know, I have often mentioned that Dan Seals had a successful pop music career in the 1970s, but Dan says he might never have gotten into pop if his parents hadn't gotten a divorce. Dan was born in Iran, Texas, an oil town full of people who loved country music. Now, Dan's first musical experience came at age 4 when he joined his father's country band, and he might have stayed in country music for the rest of his life, but when Dan was 10, his parents divorced, and his mother took him to live in Dallas. It was in the more cosmopolitan atmosphere of Dallas that he was exposed to rock and roll influences that led him into a pop music career. Dan became one half of the 1970s hit pop duo of England Dan and John Ford Coley, who had hits like the million-seller I'd Really Love to See You Tonight. Well, today, looking back, Dan figures if his parents hadn't split up, he might never have had the career in pop music. Rather, he simply would have stayed with his musical roots and gone directly into country music. Dan first hit the country chart in 1983, and 6 years later, his 16th country chart single checks in this week at number 32.
She's a small town girl.
That was co-written by Bob McDill and Dan Seals. Dan up to number 32 from number 39 last week with a Rage On. As our countdown rolls on.
My kind of country. My kind of music.
All you Ford pickup drivers out there, take a look at your gas gauge and tell me how you're doing. Still in pretty good shape? Well, if you were driving one of those advanced full-size Chevy pickups, that gas gauge would look a lot better. Because Chevy gets better mileage than Ford. In fact, even though the half-ton Chevy has more standard horsepower than your half-ton Ford, hauls more standard payload, and has a heavier frame than your Ford, it still gets better mileage on the highway than you do. And as lawyer folks say, that's based on official EPA estimates of 24 miles a gallon highway for the standard half-ton Chevy. On top of that, you get more cruising range in the Chevy because it's got a bigger gas tank than Ford. All that ought to give you a change of heart as to which full-size pickup you should be driving right now.
The heartbeat of America. That's today's Chevy truck.
You Chevy people can sit back and relax. They got some mighty fine music coming up next. But all you folks in Ford pickups better start looking for the next gas station.
I feel the rhythm of the road coming on strong. Phillips 66 keeps me moving along. It's the good things that keep going.
Good things like super clean unleaded gasolines to clean up your car's engine and keep it running clean.
It's the good things like Phillips 66. Good things for cars and the people who drive them.
You're on the air. What's your beef?
My steam iron leaves brown spots.
So does my dog. You're on the air.
I never know if my iron's too hot. I'm worried about my delicates.
You and me both. Hello.
Sometimes I need more steam, sometimes I need less steam.
Yeah, don't we all, buddy? Don't we
Black
all?
& Decker listened to you when we created our new advanced system iron. There's adjustable steam to match any fabric, a beep when it gets to the desired temperature, an advanced self-cleaning system, even auto shut-off. The new advanced system iron, only from Black & Decker.
These are the top-ranked country hits of the nation as we count them down on our way to this week's number one song. With survey song number 31, here's Roseanne Cash. Roseanne Cash up 7 notches to number 31 with I Don't Want to Spoil the Party. Time now for this hour's look into the American Country Countdown archives. We are reviewing all of the number one country hits of the 80s, and we're up now to August of 1983 with the decade's 171st number one song. Here's Ronnie McDowell.
You're gonna ruin my bad reputation.
From the ACC archives of August 1983, that is Ronnie McDowell, and You're Gonna Ruin My Bad Reputation. That became the 171st number one country single of the 80s. I'm Bob Kingsley, and there is much more to come on American Country Countdown. I'll be right back with the 30 most popular country songs of the week, including the rising hit from a rising young singer who owes his career as much to the music of the mountains as to the beat of the big city. So you stay close. This is American Country Countdown. My name is Bob Kingsley, and here we go with the second hour of our weekly survey of the 40 most popular country songs in America.
Number 30.
Here's the Desert Rose Band, and She Don't Love Nobody. Taking a 6-notch jump to number 30, the Desert Rose Band, and She Don't Love Nobody. Up now is the second chart single by a 29-year-old singer named Lionel Cartwright. Now, if you listen to Lionel's album or see him in person, you'll hear an interesting musical mix that contains both country and not-so-country musical influences. According to Lionel, that is mostly due to where he grew up. He was born in Ohio, but he was raised in the small community of Glendale in the West Virginia Panhandle near Wheeling. Now, the Panhandle is a narrow strip of extremely hilly land that juts north between Ohio and Pennsylvania. And traveling the back roads to isolated towns like Glendale or Friendly is like taking a ride on a wild roller coaster. There are countless hairpin turns and steep downgrades. So those with queasy stomachs, beware. Now, around these small back road communities, pockets of country and bluegrass performers abound. But at the same time, Glendale is just half an hour from Wheeling and an hour from Pittsburgh. And Lionel was exposed to those urban musical influences too. So his lifelong hunger to make music had him soaking up all the influences he could, from the Panhandle Hills to the big city streets. The latest from Lionel Cartwright is called Like Father, Like Son, and it climbs up this week to number 29.
Like father, like son.
Lionel Cartwright at number 29, up 3 with Like Father, Like Son. And up next, country music's most famous version of Like Father, Like Son, as we hear Hank Sr. and Hank Jr. Then a bit of Hank Sr., followed by Hank Jr. singing Hank Sr., and, well, you'll see what I mean right after this.
My kind of country, my kind of music.
And then Richie's birthday party was just 2 days away, and I got called out of town on business. So there I was, writing party lists in between speeches on the plane. I made so many calls home, my AT&T card really got a workout. I ordered the dinosaur cake, chocolate with gumdrops for eyes.
It's the rage out here, too.
Begged Sue to pick up the party hats and plates. They had to match.
Stegosaurus.
Of course, so the party'd be a flop. I called my answering machine between meetings and used it, would you believe, to audition clowns. Mr. Magic didn't have any. But Clara the Clown came through loud and clear. She even made me laugh. And so did all my other messages. 11 little voices saying, yes, they'd come. And one saying, no.
Chicken pox.
Chicken pox. What a party. I never thought I'd pull it off. But I did have a little help.
What a pro. Jennifer's turning 6 on Friday, and
Wherever you go, count on AT&T to make your life easier with every product we make, every service we offer. We take you right there and keep you this close. AT&T, the right choice.
American Country Countdown.
Billboard does the survey, we do the countdown. I'm Bob Kingsley, and at number 28, here is Hank Williams Jr. and Hank Williams Sr.
There's a tear in my beer, 'cause
Number 7 last week, down to number 28 this week. There's a tear in my beer by Hank Williams Jr. and Sr. Hank Sr. first appeared on Billboard's country chart in 1949 with his classic recording of Lovesick Blues. Now, Hank Jr. cut his first record in 1964, and it seems entirely fitting that it was a remake of a song written and first recorded by his legendary father. The name of the song was Long Gone Lonesome Blues, and before we hear Hank Jr., let's take a moment and listen to a bit of the original by Hank Sr., recorded in Nashville on January 9th, 1950.
I went down to Blue.
From 1950, a part of Hank Williams Sr.'s #1 version of Long Gone Lonesome Blues. In 1964, Hank Jr. recut the song for his first record, and at the age of 14, he became the youngest male soloist ever to hit the country top 40.
I went down to
From 1964, Hank Williams Jr. got up to number 5 with his very first record called Long Gone Lonesome Blues, as we count down the 40 biggest country hits of the week.
my kind of country, my kind of music.
An auto technician called from Lamar. He needed some brake pads for a customer's car. I told him rest easy, it wouldn't take long. Thank God in Greyhound it's gone. When your package just can't wait, call Greyhound Package Express. We'll get it there, anywhere in our same-day service area. Thank God in Greyhound it's gone. Greyhound Package Express. Some restrictions apply. Call or stop by for details.
When your car's sailing 60 feet in the air and your shocks don't absorb the impact, guess what does?
Jeff Popick, president of the Hollywood Stuntman's Association.
So when my odometer says 25,000 miles, it's time for new shocks.
Right now at Sears, while quantities last, Road Handler gas shocks are closeout priced at $966, only $966, and are backed by a lifetime warranty for as long as you own your car.
Riding on worn-out shocks is a dumb stunt.
Somebody does it better. Sears.
American Country Countdown.
We're counting down this week's hottest country hits. I'm Bob Kingsley. We're up now to number 27 on the countdown with Earl Thomas Conley. That is Earl Thomas Conley, up from number 34 to number 27 this week with a tune written by Tom Schuyler called Love Out Loud. Every week, American Country Countdown is heard in the 50 states and around the world on great radio stations like 1360 AM, WMOV in Ravenswood, West Virginia, KNOT AM and FM, Mile High Country in Prescott, Arizona, Maine's country giant, WKGC in Augusta, Maine, and 123 CJLB in Thunder Bay, Ontario, Canada. With survey song number 26, The Gospel According to Luke, here is Skip Ewing.
He was an old hand.
That is Skip Ewing, up 7 notches to number 26 with The Gospel According to Luke. We've got the week's 35 top-ranked country hits still to come when American Country Countdown continues.
My kind of country, my kind of music.
I feel the rhythm of the road coming on strong. Phillips 66 keeps me moving along. It's the good things that keep you going.
Good things like super clean unleaded gasolines to clean up your car's engine and keep it running clean.
It's the good things like Phillips 66. Good things for cars and the people who drive them.
Not long ago, us Fritos rustlers was roping Fritos when Luke roped a new kind, ranch Fritos. 1 second Luke had one, whoa, but the next it had him. Whoa! We rustled this whole bag of Wild and Mild Ranch Fritos corn chips. They got a creamy ranch flavor no one can resist. Luke, them was mine. Someday Luke's gonna end up on the wrong end of that rope. Rustle up new Wild and Mild Ranch flavor Fritos corn chips.
American Country Countdown.
My name is Bob Kingsley. This is our weekly countdown of the 40 biggest country hits in the land. At number 25, here's Lee Greenwood.
I don't know. Shoot, shoot.
From its high point at number 16 down to number 25, Lee Greenwood and I'll Be Loving You. Back in the 1960s and early 70s, it was popular among rock and folk acts to adopt offbeat-sounding names. Well, as a result, Billboard's pop charts were full of records by groups like the Monkees, the Strawberry Alarm Clock, the Jefferson Airplane, Paul Revere and the Raiders, and the Lewis and Clark Expedition. Now, some of those groups are still around, while the rest of them broke up a long time ago. But even though the groups themselves are gone, some of the individual members are still making hit records. Take Travis Lewis of the Lewis and Clark Expedition. His real name is Michael Martin Murphey, and he's become far more successful as a soloist than he ever was as part of the duo. Michael first appeared on our survey in 1976, and his 22nd chart single is this week's number 24 song.
My kind of walking the line, love again.
From his high point at number 3 a couple of weeks ago, down to number 24 this week for Michael Martin Murphey, and From the Word Go. Up next, a singer who quit college because he couldn't find his life's work in a book.
Every hour of every day, CBS News works with a commitment to bring you the most accurate, most objective view of the world as it is. Because of that commitment, the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather doesn't just come to you from New York.
Dan Rather reporting from London's Guildhall.
Inside the Kremlin.
Reporting from Tokyo. From Havana, Cuba. From our nation's capital. From Geneva.
Worldwide, worldwise. The CBS Evening News with Dan Rather, weeknights on the CBS television network. You always know when it's CBS News.
You're stranded. They towed your car away, and it wasn't because of parking violations. Volkswagen's financing assistance plan can help. The family is growing, the budget is shrinking, and your car is stuck in park. Volkswagen's financing assistance plan can help. You say you can't afford a new car. We say you can. For a limited time, when you finance a new Volkswagen, our financing assistance plan can help you save. You asked Santa for a new car. He stiffed you for the 5th year, and your birthday is 8 months away. Thank goodness your local Volkswagen dealer can help.
American Country Countdown.
I'm Bob Kingsley, and this is our countdown of country music's 40 biggest hits. We're up now to number 23, and here to sing it is Dwight Yoakam. Taking an 8-notch jump to number 23, that's Dwight Yoakam, and I Got You. Back in the mid-1970s, Dwight passed up an opportunity to graduate from one of the best colleges in the country. At the time, he was fresh out of high school in Columbus, Ohio, the home of Ohio State University. Now, since Dwight lived in Columbus, it was easy for him to attend his state university, and he did attend for a while. But it didn't take him long to figure out that his life's work was not to be found in any of the books that he was studying. After all, there is only one way to learn how to be a country singer, and that is to just go and be one, which is exactly what Dwight did. And his journey led him first to Nashville and then to Los Angeles, where he soon became one of country music's brightest new performers. Dwight first appeared on our survey in 1986 with his top 10 hit called Honky Tonk Man. And 2 years ago this week, he entered Billboard's country chart, top 10 bound, once again with a remake of an old Elvis Presley hit.
Little sister, don't you?
Dwight Yoakam from 1987 got up to number 7 with Little Sister.
Number 22.
Out of his album called Killin' Time, here is Clint Black on ACC and Better Man. From number 30 last week to number 22 this week, that is Clint Black and Better Man, as our countdown continues.
My kind of country, my kind of music.
Hi, Tom Bodette from Motel 6 with news that usually only a hairdresser knows for sure. I'm talking about a makeover, a fresh new look. No, not the kind you get at Betty's Beauty Barn. This is a makeover for Motel 6. Now, even though the gals down at Betty's can do a frost and tip in an hour, keeping our motels looking good as new is a job that requires literally hundreds of people. Applying fresh paint, putting in new carpet, even new curtains and matching bedspreads. It's wild. And we do it every couple years. But even though we're a youthful-looking Motel 6 with clean, comfortable rooms, we're still around $24, the lowest prices of any national chain. So we'll keep our people, and Betty's gals can stay at the Beauty Barn. Besides, if they made us over, we'd probably have some sort of Saint-Tropez bronze walls with frosted burgundy highlights, and I think that'd be a bit much. I'm Tom Bodette for Motel 6, where we keep looking younger, and we'll leave the light on for you.
I feel the rhythm of the road coming on strong. Feel of 66 keeps me moving along. It's the good things that keep going.
Good things like super clean unleaded gasolines to clean up your car's engine and keep it running clean.
It's the good things like Feel of 66. Good things for cars and the people who drive them.
You're on the air. What's your beef?
My steam iron leaves brown spots.
So does my dog. You're on the air.
I never know if my iron's too hot. I'm worried about my delicates.
You and me both. Hello.
Sometimes I need more steam, sometimes I need less steam.
Yeah, don't we all, buddy? Don't we
Black
all?
& Decker listened to you when we created our new advanced system iron. There's adjustable steam to match any fabric, a beep when it gets to the desired temperature, an advanced self-cleaning system, even auto shut-off. The new advanced system iron, only from Black & Decker.
American Country Countdown.
I'm Bob Kingsley, counting them down to number 1. And at number 21, up 7 for the week, here are the Forrester Sisters. At number 21 in popularity, the Forresters and Love Will. Right now, let's return to the ACC archives. We're reviewing each of the number 1 country singles of the 80s, and we're up now to September of 1983 with the 172nd number 1 country hit of the decade. Here is George Strait and A Fire I Can't Put Out.
I'm finding out.
Out of the ACC archives, dated September 1983, George Strait with A Fire I Can't Put Out turned out to be Billboard's 172nd number 1 country single of the 80s. I'm Bob Kingsley. This is American Country Countdown. We are 20 hits away from that number 1 song, including the current hit from a singer who has fond memories of the time he was a teenager whisked away from a sleepy Indiana town directly to the bright lights of big-time showbiz. This is American Country Countdown. I'm Bob Kingsley, and right now I'd like to take a moment and welcome a new member to our ACC network of stations. It's Real Radio, KMMO in Marshall, Missouri. Welcome aboard.
Number 20.
With this week's fastest rising song called Where Did I Go Wrong? Here's Steve Warner. Number 29 last week, number 20 this week, Steve Warner, and Where Did I Go Wrong? Steve first hit the concert trail back in 1972, and he says that he felt like he had died and gone to heaven. There he was, an aspiring musician of 18 who had just been hired by one of country music's premier female singers, Dottie West. On his first tour with Dottie, Steve found himself transported from his sleepy little hometown in Indiana to a sleepless town in Nevada called Reno. They were working in one of the casinos, and Steve was having the time of his life, sitting around visiting with veteran musicians and watching another member of Dottie's band named Larry Gatlin write some terrific songs. To say the least, Steve was awestruck, and he looks back on those first thrilling days in the business with great warmth. Steve Warner first hit the country charts in 1978, and he has a total of 17 top 10 songs to his credit. One of those is a 1981 crowd pleaser called By Now that began its chart run 8 years ago this week.
By now.
Steve Warner got up to number 6 back in 1981 with By Now, as our countdown continues.
My kind of country, my kind of music.
Howdy, I'm Slim, and these are the boys.
Howdy.
We're Frito's Rustlers, right, boys?
Right.
Today, we rustled a whole new kind. Wild and Mild Ranch Frito's corn chips. Right, boys?
Right.
Dig in, boys. They got a creamy ranch flavor we can't resist. Right, boys? Boys? Yeah! Right, burn it, boys. Come back with them Fritos. Rustle up new Wild and Mild Ranch flavor Frito's corn chips. And make sure you got a spare.
You're stranded. They towed your car away, and it wasn't because of parking violations. Volkswagen's financing assistance plan can help. The family is growing, the budget is shrinking, and your car is stuck in park. Volkswagen's financing assistance plan can help. You say you can't afford a new car. We say you can. For a limited time, when you finance a new Volkswagen, our financing assistance plan can help you save. You asked Santa for a new car. He stiffed you for the 5th year, and your birthday is 8 months away. Thank goodness your local Volkswagen dealer can help.
These are Billboard's 40 biggest country hits, and we are counting them down to number 1. I'm Bob Kingsley, and at number 19, here's Barbara Mandrell.
I've tried to put your memory behind me.
That is out of her album called I'll Be Your Jukebox Tonight. That is Barbara Mandrell, up 4 notches to number 19 with My Train of Thought. Our next survey song is the 4th single out of a hit album called Diamonds and Dirt. Up a couple to number 18, here's Rodney Crowell and After All This Time. There is Rodney Crowell up to number 18 with After All This Time. Up next, a supergroup who says their winning sound is due as much to the way they talk as it is to the way they sing.
If you're driving a Ford pickup right now, turn up this radio, because we're going to talk truck here a minute. You know how when you open the hood of your Ford half-ton, you see that basic inline 6 sitting there? Open the hood of an advanced half-ton Chevy pickup, and you'll see trucking in a whole new light. First thing you'll see is that Chevy's got a lot more standard horsepower than you got. That's because Chevy's got a Vortec V6 instead of that inline you're running. You'd also see that the Chevy engine's sitting on a box channel frame that's bigger and heavier than the one you're sitting on. That's one reason a half-ton Chevy can haul more standard payload than you can. And now, I want you to get friendly with a new full-size Chevy pickup. Sit in it, drive it, compare it against your Ford, and you're going to have a serious change of heart as to which pickup you should be driving.
The heartbeat of America. That's today's Chevy truck.
You turn the radio back down now. I think there's a hamburger commercial coming up next.
American Country Countdown.
And we are counting down the country hits to that number 1 tune. At number 17, here is Alabama.
If I had...
Alabama up 4 to number 17 with If I Had You. According to lead singer Randy Owen, part of Alabama's phenomenal success is due to where the founding members were born. And it has a great deal to do with the fact that Randy, Jeff Cook, and Teddy Gentry are cousins. Now, it is certainly no secret that the voices of related singers blend together especially well in close harmony. But Randy says that being raised so close together near Fort Payne, Alabama, counts for as much as anything. He points out that all three cousins speak with the same accent and say the same words the same way, all of which helps keep their harmonies and overall sound nearly as close as brother acts like the Bellamys, Gatlins, or the Everlys. Well, no matter how Alabama came about their sound, it is one that has taken them to the top of the charts on 24 separate occasions, including 3 years ago this week when She and I was our #1 song. From 1986, Alabama was She and I. We've got the week's 16 top country hits still to come when American Country Countdown continues.
My kind of country, my kind of music.
And then Richie's birthday party was just 2 days away, and I got called out of town on business. So there I was, writing party lists in between speeches on the plane. I made so many calls home, my AT&T card really got a workout. I ordered the dinosaur cake, chocolate with gumdrops for eyes.
It's the rage out here, too.
Begged Sue to pick up the party hats and plates. They had to match.
Stegosaurus.
Of course, or the party'd be a flop. I called my answering machine between meetings and used it, would you believe, to audition clowns. Mr. Magic didn't have any. But Clara the clown came through loud and clear. She even made me laugh. And so did all my other messages. 11 little voices saying, yes, they'd come. And one saying, no.
Chicken pox.
Chicken pox. What a party. I never thought I'd pull it off. But I did have a little help.
What a pro. Jennifer's turning 6 on Friday, and
Wherever you go, count on AT&T to make your life easier with every product we make, every service we offer. We take you right there and keep you this close. AT&T, the right choice.
My kind of country, my kind of music. American Country Countdown.
We continue with our countdown of the 40 biggest country hits of the nation. My name's Bob Kingsley, and at number 16 for the week, here is Restless Heart.
Big dreams.
Out of their album called Big Dreams in a Small Town, that is Restless Heart, up 3 notches to number 16 with the title tune. You know, one of the most critical questions facing the country music industry in the early 80s was, will the older, traditional forms of country music continue to appeal to millions of younger fans and continue to sell records? Well, it is a question that was first asked at the turn of the decade when the urban cowboy period was in full bloom. At the time, many pop-oriented, contemporary-sounding musicians began to abound in Nashville. Well, almost as soon as the question was asked, several young country acts emerged with the answer that given the right artist and material, traditional country music can sell, and sell big. The leader of the so-called new traditionalist is George Strait, and his success has illustrated the viability of traditional country music. Since 1981, 10 of George's 11 albums have gone gold, meaning that each has sold in excess of 500,000 copies. His 12th album is called Beyond the Blue Neon, and the first single out of that LP recently became George's 16th #1 country hit. This week, it checks in at number 15. George and Baby's Gotten Good at Goodbye.
What a rotten...
#1 2 weeks ago, #2 last week, down to number 15 this week for George Strait, and Baby's Gotten Good at Goodbye. And at number 14, here is another new traditionalist, Randy Travis.
Being with that...
At number 14, up 4, Randy Travis, and Is It Still Over? 13 hits to #1 as we count them down.
Want to know about imitation hoods, doors, and fenders? Ask a body shop owner.
Guy came by today trying to sell me copycat hoods, doors, and fenders for GM cars. But I wasn't buying because I know some of these imitations don't come up to GM specs for fit, finish, and corrosion protection.
So remember, even if insurance is paying the bill, it's still your car and your choice. Ask to see your repair order and insist on genuine General Motors parts.
Vacations, whether you're planning the family kind, the romantic kind, or the relaxing kind. Plan on earning money just by giving your travel agent the Discover card. The card that actually pays you cash back for every charge, up to 1% back every year based on your annual purchases. Cash back from your vacation. How's that fit into your plans? It pays to Discover, the card that pays you back.
American Country Countdown.
I'm Bob Kingsley, and we are counting down this week's top country hits from the official Billboard survey.
Number 13.
With a Chris Christopherson song called The Heart, here is Lacey J. Dalton. Holding to number 13, Lacey J. Dalton and The Heart. Our next song is by a fast-rising act that has become known for both the haunting vocals of his lead singer and the tight backup harmonies of his other two members. But behind the scenes, the members of Bailey and the Boys are also gaining respect for their songwriting abilities. The trio's first hit, Oh Heart, was co-written by group members Kathy Bailey and Michael Bonagura, and they have written or co-written half the songs on their current album. Now, one of those tunes is their latest single, which they wrote with top Nashville songwriter Don Schlitz. Kathy told us that the inspiration for the song actually came from a broken marriage in her own family, and Michael and Don helped her to finish it up. The results can be heard in survey song number 12.
You say she did.
Bailey and the Boys up 5 to number 12 for the week with She Deserves You as our countdown rolls on.
My kind of country, my kind of music. I feel the rhythm of the road coming on strong. Phillips 66 keeps me moving along. It's the good things that keep you going.
Good things like super clean unleaded gasolines to clean up your car's engine and keep it running clean.
It's the good things like Phillips 66. Good things for cars and the people who drive them.
AT&T, may I help you?
I'd like to make a collect call from Tracy.
Sure, I'll connect.
I have my AT&T card, but I've heard that if someone really loves you, he'll accept a collect call from you.
I see.
It's okay if he doesn't.
Hello?
AT&T, collect call from Tracy. Will you accept charges?
Well, sure.
There you go, Tracy. And thanks for using AT&T.
Trace,
Whenever you need a helping hand, you can count on AT&T. We take you right there and keep you this close. AT&T, the right choice.
Hi, Jim Summers with a Value Right update. Remember, you'll find more than just high-quality prescription drugs at Value Right. There's also a complete health and beauty section. And speaking of beauty, this week get 6-ounce Neutrogena shampoo or Neutrogena conditioner on sale for only $3.99 at participating Value Rights. It's great hair care. Just look in your yellow pages for Value Right, where you'll always find great American values and ways to make yourself even more beautiful. I mean, if that's possible.
When your car's sailing 60 feet in the air and your shocks don't absorb the impact, guess what does?
Jeff Popick, president of the Hollywood Stuntman's Association.
So when my odometer says 25,000 miles, it's time for new shocks.
Right now at Sears, while quantities last, Road Handler gas shocks are closeout priced at $966, only $966, and are backed by a lifetime warranty for as long as you own your car.
Riding on worn-out shocks is a dumb stunt.
Somebody does it better. Sears.
American Country Countdown.
These are the hottest country hits in the country. I'm Bob Kingsley with survey song number 11 and Highway 101.
You say I'm the greatest.
Curtis Stone and Paulette Carlson, along with the rest of Highway 101, and Set Me Up to number 11 for the week. Let's continue now with our weekly journey through the ACC archives as we spotlight each of the number one country hits of the 80s. The 173rd number one song of the decade from September 1983 is called I'm Only In It for the Love, and here to sing it is John Conley. Out of the ACC archives of September 1983, I'm Only In It for the Love by John Conley became the 173rd number one country hit of the decade. I'm Bob Kingsley, and we have got the top 10 ready to go on our way to number 1. Plus the story of a lady who literally nursed a dim hope of country music stardom along until it turned into one of the healthiest music careers of the decade. I'm Bob Kingsley. This is American Country Countdown, our weekly survey of the hottest country hits in the nation. So far, we have heard numbers 40 through number 11, and now our countdown continues.
Number 10.
Out of her Honky Tonk Angel album, here is Patty Loveless and Don't Toss Us Away.
Well, let's see.
Up to number 10 from number 12 last week, Patty Loveless and Don't Toss Us Away. Back in 1980 in Marin County, California, a Kentucky-born lady and her 2 young daughters packed up and moved to Franklin, Tennessee, a suburb of Nashville. The lady thought that she'd return her kids to a simpler lifestyle, like the one that they'd experienced a few years earlier in Kentucky. So she got her nursing license in Tennessee, got a job at a local hospital, and settled in. Now, there was another reason that she wanted to live in this community near Nashville. You see, way back in her mind, a dim hope at best, she thought there might be some way to get her oldest daughter into the music business. After all, the teenager had a fabulous singing voice, so the mother figured that it wouldn't hurt them as a family to simplify their lifestyle, nor would it hurt to pursue that lifestyle near this major music center. Well, a couple of years later, purely by chance, the mother nursed the child of a Nashville record producer back to health. It was a chance meeting that turned into a friendship, and it also turned out to be the connection she needed for her daughter's talent to be discovered. Now, what this enterprising lady didn't have in the back of her mind in 1980 is that her harmony singing with her talented daughter would turn them into one of the half-dozen hottest new acts of the decade. With survey song number 9, here are Naomi and Winona, the Judds.
She was sitting cross-legged.
The Judds jumping into the top 10 at number 9 from number 15 last week with Young Love as our countdown continues.
My kind of country, my kind of music.
A lady architect called from L.A. She needed some blueprints without a delay. So I said, don't you worry, and I picked up the phone. Thank God in Greyhound it's gone. When your package just can't wait, call Greyhound Package Express. We'll get it there, anywhere in our same-day service area. Thank God in Greyhound it's gone. Greyhound Package Express. Some restrictions apply. Call or stop by for details.
Hey, Willard Scott here at the supermarket where it's a mob scene. Thanks to Cheeseburger Days. Seems all these folks want the same thing.
We want lean ground beef and real cheese. Lean ground beef and real cheese.
So they can fix cheeseburgers at home. Hey, here comes Daryl, the stock boy. Ever seen anything like this? No. If you like cheeseburgers as much as these folks, hurry to your participating store during Cheeseburger Days.
Move aside, it's another forklift to Swiss.
Sponsored by America's Dairy Farmers, American Dairy Association.
That's my kid you got there.
American Country Countdown.
Billboard ranks them, we count them down. I'm Bob Kingsley, and at number 8 with Fair Shake, here is Foster and Lloyd. Out of their Faster and Louder album, that is Foster and Lloyd up a notch to number 8 with Fair Shake. From coast to coast and around the world, American Country Countdown is heard every week at this time on great radio stations. Hello to everybody listening to KPRK, K-Country, 1340 AM in Livingston, Montana. WBKN, B92 Country in Brookhaven, Mississippi. KWHW, Our Country is Great in Altus, Oklahoma. And WGKX, Kicks 106 in Memphis, Tennessee.
Number 7.
Climbing up 3 for the week with You Got It. Here's Roy Orbison. Roy Orbison up to number 7 with You Got It as we count down the 40 biggest country hits of the week.
My kind of country, my kind of music.
You're on the air. What's your beef?
My steam iron leaves brown spots.
So does my dog. You're on the air.
I never know if my iron's too hot. I'm worried about my delicates.
You and me both. Hello.
Sometimes I need more steam, sometimes I need less steam.
Yeah, don't we all, buddy? Don't we
Black
all?
& Decker listened to you when we created our new advanced system iron. There's adjustable steam to match any fabric, a beep when it gets to the desired temperature, an advanced self-cleaning system, even auto shut-off. The new advanced system iron, only from Black & Decker.
You're stranded. They towed your car away, and it wasn't because of parking violations. Volkswagen's financing assistance plan can help. The family is growing, the budget is shrinking, and your car is stuck in park. Volkswagen's financing assistance plan can help. You say you can't afford a new car. We say you can. For a limited time, when you finance a new Volkswagen, our financing assistance plan can help you save. You asked Santa for a new car. He stiffed you for the 5th year, and your birthday is 8 months away. Thank goodness your local Volkswagen dealer can help.
American Country Countdown.
We're up now to number 6 on our countdown of the 40 biggest country hits of the nation. Here with Old Coyote Town is Don Williams. That was number 5 last week, slipping a notch to number 6 this week. Don Williams and Old Coyote Town. Don says he sings simply to stimulate other people's feelings. Now, he understands that people often become so consumed with things like their work that they lose touch with their feelings and the feelings of those around them. Don says that through his music, he tries to reach people on an emotional level they can relate to. And people have been relating to Don and his music for the past 17 years. Don has collected a total of 38 top 10 songs during that time, including one called Listen to the Radio, which entered Billboard's country chart 7 years ago this week.
I guess as a lover.
That got up to number 3 back in 1982, Don Williams and Listen to the Radio. We have got the week's 5 top-ranked country hits waiting in the wings, plus a calendar salute to one of the greatest songwriters to ever have his song shake things up on the American music charts.
My kind of country, my kind of music.
Check into Motel 6 and get an office. Hi, Tom Bodette with the business bonus. Besides being clean and comfortable, all our rooms come with a workspace. In some of them, that's a table. In others, the spare bed. Sure, it's not a burled walnut desk with brass handles, but for around $24, the lowest prices of any national chain, well, what do you expect? Besides, if you bring along one of those engraved nameplates or maybe a desk pad with a matching pen and pencil holder, well, with the phone there and all, it'll be a dead ringer for an office. You even have to dial 9 for an outside line, and local calls are free. There's not even a motel service charge on long-distance calls. Of course, there won't be all the noise and commotion at Motel 6 like at the office, but you'll get used to it. If not, just turn on the free TV to one of those knock-down, drag-out, throw-chairs-around talk shows. That ought to do it. I'm Tom Bodette for Motel 6, your office on the road, and we'll leave the light on for you.
American Country Countdown.
Once a week, we count down the country hits to the number 1 song in the land. My name is Bob Kingsley, and with survey song number 5, here's K.T. Osland. Hey, Bobby, up 3 for K.T. Osland and number 5 for the week on American Country Countdown.
ACC Calendar.
One of the truly great songwriters of the 1950s and 60s was a former pants presser from Brooklyn, New York named Otis Blackwell. Otis's best-known song is Don't Be Cruel, and that alone makes him an historic figure. But he did much more. He wrote both Great Balls of Fire and Breathless for Jerry Lee Lewis, and his song Fever has long since become a standard with hit versions by Little Willie John, Peggy Lee, and the McCoys. Otis says that he owes it all to his wayward uncle, who used to make him go in bars and sing. Now, Otis's mother was paying his uncle to babysit him, but he figured out a way to get paid twice. He'd have Otis sing a song and then throw quarters to him. Pretty soon, other people in the bar would start throwing quarters too, and it didn't take long for young Otis to see that there was money to be made with music. But as it turned out, he became far more successful as a songwriter than as a singer. Otis says he usually starts with a song title and goes from there. Ideas for his early songs came from romance magazines and even comic books. But he soon learned that the best ideas came just by listening to other people talk. One day in the mid-1950s, Otis was in the New York office of his music publisher, who was conversing at length about how a good songwriter can write about anything. Well, at one point, the man challenged Otis. He said, "Write about this," and he picked up a bottle of soda and shook it up. Well, Otis Blackwell was equal to the challenge, and the result was the 1957 Elvis Presley classic that was #1 on both Billboard's country and pop charts 32 years ago this week.
Well, bless my soul, what's wrong with me? I'm all shook up.
From the ACC calendar, Elvis Presley and All Shook Up, Billboard's #1 country hit from 32 years ago this week. This is American Country Countdown, and we are 4 hits away from #1.
My kind of country, my kind of music. It's not just a car, it's your freedom.
There's a sense of freedom you get when you take your GM car to Mr. Goodwrench. A sense of confidence that wherever you want, you can go. And isn't that what driving is all about? When your General Motors car needs service, bring it to your GM dealer. And remember,
Mr. Goodwrench knows it's not just a car, it's your freedom.
Mom, all you've got is 2 potatoes in your basket. What happened to the world's fastest shopper?
I can't find anything for my hay fever.
There are so many products here. Look, this stops sneezing.
That makes me sleepy.
And this?
Doesn't stop my sneezing.
There must be something that stops sneezing without making you sleepy.
I'm so confused.
End the confusion. As a nurse, I know that now your doctor can give you fast relief from all your hay fever symptoms without the drowsiness you may have had before. See your doctor.
Merrill Dow Pharmaceuticals.
American Country Countdown.
I'm Bob Kingsley, and we're counting down the week's 40 biggest country hits. At #4, here is Billy Joe Royal.
If you...
Billy Joe Royal easing up a couple to #4 with Tell It Like It Is. The song in show position on this week's American Country Countdown survey belongs to the group called Shenandoah. Their hit is called The Church on Cumberland Road. Up a notch to #3, The Church on Cumberland Road by Shenandoah, as we head toward that #1 song.
My kind of country, my kind of music.
All you Ford pickup drivers out there, take a look at your gas gauge and tell me how you're doing. Still in pretty good shape? Well, if you were driving one of those advanced full-size Chevy pickups, that gas gauge would look a lot better. Because Chevy gets better mileage than Ford. In fact, even though the half-ton Chevy has more standard horsepower than your half-ton Ford, hauls more standard payload, and has a heavier frame than your Ford, it still gets better mileage on the highway than you do. And as lawyer folks say, that's based on official EPA estimates of 24 miles a gallon highway for the standard half-ton Chevy. On top of that, you get more cruising range than the Chevy because it's got a bigger gas tank than Ford. All that ought to give you a change of heart as to which full-size pickup you should be driving right now.
The heartbeat of America. That's today's Chevy truck.
You Chevy people can sit back and relax. They got some mighty fine music coming up next. But all you folks in Ford pickups better start looking for the next gas station.
Every hour of every day, CBS News works with a commitment to bring you the most accurate, most objective view of the world as it is. Because of that commitment, the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather doesn't just come to you from New York.
Dan Rather reporting from London's Guildhall. Inside the Kremlin. Reporting from Tokyo. From Havana, Cuba. From our nation's capital. From Geneva.
Worldwide, worldwise. The CBS Evening News with Dan Rather, weeknights on the CBS television network. You always know when it's CBS News.
Hi, Jim Summers with Value Right News. Old-fashioned family dinners are great, but between Mom's pot roast and a second slice of pie, you can wind up with indigestion. That's when you should head for your participating Value Right. They've got 12 ounces of Gaviscon liquid antacid on sale for only $5.19, and 100 Gaviscon tablets for only $5.49. Use only as directed. Just look in your yellow pages for Value Right, where you'll always find great American values and help for those of us who can't pass up on seconds or thirds.
American Country Countdown.
We're up now to number 2 in our countdown of the 40 most popular country songs in the USA. And here to sing it is Vern Gosdin.
Oh, you say.
Up to number 2 from number 3 last week, Vern Gosdin. And who are you going to blame it on this time? Up now is a singer who was a student of a music legend. And the fact that he has our number 1 song this week is part of the continuing legacy of that music legend and proof positive that he was also a great teacher. The great musician is Ralph Stanley, and along with his brother Carter, they became bluegrass legends performing as the Stanley Brothers. Well, about 18 years ago, shortly after Carter Stanley died, Ralph discovered a couple of teenagers in Kentucky who were huge fans of the Stanley Brothers' unique bluegrass sounds. The boys say that the Stanleys' music contained an emotional quality that truly set them apart from other bluegrass performers. The two teenagers performed as a duo, playing Stanley Brothers material exclusively. Well, when Ralph Stanley happened to catch the two young men in concert, he was, to say the least, knocked out. Stanley hired the two 15-year-olds for his band, took them under his wing, and he taught them the ropes of the concert trail and the recording studio. Now, by the time the two young men struck out on their own with separate careers, they had had quite a special education. Now, it is rare enough when a protege delivers on a promise to make it big. But in this case, it's obvious that Ralph Stanley was one great teacher, and these two Kentucky-born kids were terrific talents and students. And today, Ralph Stanley can indeed be proud, because one of his two prize pupils is Ricky Skaggs, and the other is the man who occupies the number 1 spot in the nation for the second week in a row. With I'm No Stranger to the Rain, here's Keith Whitley.
I'm no stranger to the rain.
Out of his album called Don't Close Your Eyes, Keith Whitley holds down our number 1 spot for the second week in a row with I'm No Stranger to the Rain. You have just heard the 40 most popular records in the nation as determined by Billboard Magazine for the chart week of April 15th, 1989. American Country Countdown was created by Casey Kasem and Don Bastante in conjunction with Tom Rounds and ABC Watermark. Executive producer Tom Cuddy with Barbara Lyon, Neil Hazlip, Rod West, Stu Jacobs, Mike Williams, Michael Sullivan, Matt Wilson, Linda Kelly, Debbie Steele, and Pat Shields. I'm Bob Kingsley, inviting you to join me again next week when we'll count them down to the number 1 country song in the USA. American Country Countdown has been brought to you in part by AT&T, the right choice, by Chevy Truck, the heartbeat of America, today's Chevy Truck, and by Sears. For new brakes, shocks, or struts, somebody does it better. Sears.